So my name is Judy, and my claim is that glyphosate, the genetically modified herbicide, is harmful for society. And by society, I mean directly as well as indirectly, so farmers as well as consumers like you and me, I'm sorry. So let me give you a background of the history of what glyphosate is. So according to Nandula, the author of Glyphosate's Resistance to Crops and Weeds, History, Development, and Management, glyphosate is a chemical that was first discovered in 1950 by a Swiss chemist. His name was Dr. Henry Martin. When he discovered it, he was working for a pharmaceutical company, so he had little value for it. Dr. Phil Ham tested it as an herbicide, but found that the activity was too low to be sold as a commercial herbicide. And then finally, in 1970, a Monsanto chemist named Dr. John Franz did some testings, and he synthesized it, so it's 5 times stronger than what it originally was. Glyphosate works by stopping the necessary amino acids for protein growth in plants. And right now, Monsanto is promoting this as the name Roundup herbicide, and it's a patented ingredient. So the key points that I want to hit are that its exposure to glyphosate is very hard to escape, the negative effects on our health, and lastly, the negative effects on our environment. So glyphosate is difficult to avoid because of how quickly it's penetrating the market. Currently, it's the #1 herbicide sold in the United States. Between 1996 and 2011, the use of herbicides has increased by 527 million pounds. And at the moment, 80% of the US food supply is contaminated with some level of glyphosate. A recent investigation by Tropical Traditions have shown that now even USDA organic grains have shown that there are some traces of glyphosate. The range between 0.07 milligrams and 0.09 milligrams. Keep in mind, these are supposed to be non-GMO products. Of course, Tropical Traditions quickly pulled the products off and now are doing an investigation. One of the possible ways that glyphosate is getting into these grains is through irrigations and water supplies. So those farms that do use glyphosate as the herbicide, that is getting into the water supply, and farms that produce non-GMO products are finding traces of glyphosate. Aside from farms, it's also found in common lawn treatments that you can purchase from Home Depot. The #1 selling lawn fertilizer right now is Virgo, and it currently has 40% of glyphosate. So you could be using it right now and you wouldn't notice. My next point is that glyphosate is a negative effect in our health. The EPA, which is the US Environmental Protection Agency, has admitted that glyphosate can lead to kidney damage and reproduction effects. An article written by Natural Society features a farmer named Pedersen, and his farm, he used GM feed, and he found that a large amount of his newborn piglets were deformed. Right now, Pedersen is one of the largest suppliers for pigs in Europe. He currently supplies over 16,000 pigs to Europe. And when he did a research that of all the deformed piglets, he found that all of them had glyphosate in their organ tissues. So since then, Pedersen has switched to non-GM feed, and he found that the newer borns are quite healthy. Another study by Sri Lanka, which is a poor farming town, found that most of the farmers have come down with chronic kidney disease. There's a total of 400,000 patients and an estimated death toll of around 20,000, all linked between glyphosate and chronic kidney disease. So we've all heard about the healthy bacteria that's in our gut, right? So we tried to strengthen it through probiotic yogurt, kimchi, miso, but a recent study by anaerobe showed that the glyphosate actually suppresses these healthy lactic defensive bacteria and encourages harmful bacteria in our stomachs. One of these harmful bacteria is called Clostridia, and that produces tetanus as well as botulinum toxins. Botulinum toxins are currently one of the most dangerous substances in the human race because 75 billionths of a gram is enough to kill a person weighing about 165 pounds. So if you calculate that out, it's estimated that 2.5 pounds of botulin toxins can kill the entire human population. And lastly, my last source is how it's harmful for the environment. So the use of glyphosate heavily reduces the quality of soil quality. In a scientific study by Robert Creamer, a scientist in the United States Agricultural Department, he said that the glyphosate actually binds to the hard minerals such as calcium, boron, and manganese, and thus prevent runoff. And this basically, glyphosate competes with soil for the nutrients. Many farmers have noticed that the soil had become more hard and compact. Because of glyphosate, scientists are finding that there are more weeds becoming tolerant to herbicides, so we call these super weeds. According to the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States, it has been confirmed that over 16 weed species are tolerant of glyphosate. With farmers against their backs and they don't know what to do, they've been using actually more. According to the Union of Concerned Scientists, herbicides could be reduced by 90% while maintaining farmers' yields by using organic farming, as well as ecological sound chemicals such as vinegar and common table salt. So although I do agree that there is a shortage of food supply to support the population, as you can see by the numbers, more people are dying because of this, quote unquote, in effect, because of this solution. And again, after hearing my claim and evidence, I hope you agree that the exposure to glyphosate is hard to escape the negative effects in health and environment. Thank you.
All right, the proposition's clear. The layout of the secondary points is fine. I think there's plenty of controversy on this, so that's not a problem. There's a little bit of definitional stuff in the background. That's okay. The signposting on the secondary points when you get to them is pretty good. I don't think anybody got lost. There are lots of explanations. You're usually offering a good citation of your sources. Sometimes you have a little bit of trouble with some of the pronunciation. That's not a big deal. Don't be panicky about that. Some statistics, though, didn't seem to be cited. For instance, you've got this one that talks about 80% of the places are contaminated, and there's another one that talks about traces of the substance in particular foods. I think you need to explain also a little bit more why the presence of it in those foods is problematic. Now, the examples on risks really come dependent on two things. We've got some pig study that found some deformities in that, and so we're going to want to have some consistency and evaluation of that study. That's a single piece of information on that. But you also have this study that talks about kidney disease where 20,000 people have died as a consequence. I don't know over what period of time, and I don't know exactly what it is what their exposure was from. Is it because they ate foods that were contaminated with this? Is it because they used it and were exposed to it? And did they use it in a way that it's designed for? All pesticides are potentially dangerous if they're used the wrong way, so I think you need to have a little bit more explanation on that. I did like the information that you presented about potential super weeds at the end as an environmental hazard. It's a little vague on the quantification, but the explanation of the argument is clear. A little too much reading. Thank you.